And here we are again. Welcome back, everybody, to the Square the Circle Music channel. I am your pal, your host, Major. That's right. That creepy-looking dude over in Western Oregon that likes to show off his records to everybody. You know, we talk about music, we talk about things, culture, circles and squares. You know, all the fun things in life. So, what are we going to talk about tonight, Mage? It's been a great week so far. We had some snow here in the greater Pacific Northwest. I don't know, all throughout West Central and North Oregon. We had a bunch of snow overnight. I know Portland and Salem both got hammered. We're about a solid, 50 miles south of Salem, and we just kind of got like the drippy leftovers, but still had like an inch and a half, 2 inches on the ground to wake up to this morning, and all the crocuses and tulips and daffodillies are all barely starting to kind of poke their noses out, and they always get they always get hammered when they decide to do that. But yeah, springtime is coming. Loving them feelings. So I wanted to talk about tonight one of those more kind of sentimental and emotional type of subjects. I mean, not really, but this is a quest that I have embarked upon, and it's been a couple months now, I think, since I've kind of like declared myself marching the ring to Mordor all by my lonesome. So this is I'm doing a catalog collect. And so this is a continuation of my my climb up Windham Hill. I grew up listening to Windham Hill records. My mother was a huge fan of all things, world music, and she wasn't particularly a fan of jazz, but she loved all of the stylings and things you could do with jazz, and all the just how I guess you could say pliable, or just kind of like how easy it is to kind of just like take jazz and just kind of make anything out of it. Malleable, I guess, more is the term I was looking for. And how jazz is just basically the Rosetta Stone, I guess, or just kind of like the template for all things musical in a sense. I mean, that's a stretch. There's definitely other things that are a little bit more archaic about music, but jazz being like the universal language. When talking about a universal language, being mathematics, I also feel that music is math, but the universal language really on earth, if you're talking about all things musical, jazz is the one. Because you can just, you can hold conversations, whatever. I don't want to get into all that, but Windham Hill being, infamous for its, soft jazz stylings and flavor. But it's, like I said, it's always mixed with just this incredible melting pot, and, this amalgam of, world music, things of a Celtic flavor, things of a Far Eastern flavor, and Middle Eastern, and American native culture, and just like all kinds of fantastic ideas, all kind of like tossed into that kind of like nebulous, easy jazz, soft jazz, and huge elements of progressive rock and progressive music, electronica. Dude, it's just such a wonderful label, and all of the artists all played in and amongst each other on multiple projects. I mean, 100 projects. There's, I don't know how many individual musicians were, contracted as part of, Windham Hill's kind of, situation. But William Ackerman signed a lot of insane fucking talent from the late 70s all the way through the late 80s. And into the early 90s, when it kind of like splintered and things got bought up and whatever, turned into a couple different small subsidiaries called Lost Lakes, and Totem Cat, and a few other small ones. But yeah, here I am just like jibber jabbering about Windham Hill when it's, I wouldn't say it's a niche kind of thing, but it's definitely, it doesn't garner a lot of like respect, and a lot of people don't really give it its due. It's all such fantastic music, and it just gets written off as being kind of like, you know, cheesy and corny, and for that reason specifically, you can find all these records for $1 a piece. Sometimes, multiple selections for, you know, just a few dollars here and there. So it's been a lot of fun for me to try to piece all this together over the last 2 months. But yeah, I've been collecting the whole catalog. There it is, right there. This is still kind of like a, just an update. I still have a long way to go up this hill. I believe after research on the Windham Hill website and the way they laid everything out, there's tons of like, missing catalog numbers somewhere in like the 50s or 60s, I think. There's just no pressings for like at least about 4 or 5 catalog numbers. But all in all, they stopped pressing their recordings on LP in vinyl format in 1991 with George Winston's last album for Windham Hill, and I think it's just titled Summer. He did a series of all the, themed around the seasons, and his final one in 1991, that was the last vinyl release on Windham Hill. What did I say? 1991, I think, yeah. The Dark Age of vinyl. So that's all I'm collecting, guys. Maybe in the future I'll, if I ever have money that I really can just like kind of throw around, I'll get all the tapes and CDs and stuff too, because they kept releasing stuff all the way deep into the 90s. So but for now, yeah, everything for, I think the first release was in 1977 or maybe 78. The Turtles Navel, William Ackerman's gift to us. So yeah, that's the first. I think the very last one that they ever did, oh no, we already talked about that. It's George Winston's Summer album, which I do not have because it's actually kind of rare AF. It's rare as fuck, man. There's only a handful of copies that I've even seen online, so I don't know if I'll ever come across it in the wild. I've also talked about this with anyone that gives a shit about me and my silly journey here. The March into Mordor. What was I talking about? How I wanted to try to come across all this stuff happenstance, and just kind of like get all these little bits and pieces in the wild. I've done pretty effing good for myself so far. But yeah, getting them all organically in the wild, just at, local record stores, junk stores. I actually just recently found a guy like on Facebook Marketplace that had a handful of records. He wanted $20 for them, and I like saw in a picture, like I fucking like zeroed in on it. I was like, holy shit, that's that one Interior album that I need. So yeah, I'm piecing it together. I've done a mega drive all over the central part, like the kind of west central part of Oregon, a couple weeks ago, maybe like almost a month ago now, and went to, numerous cities, put hundreds of miles on my car, and just did a big kind of figure 8, and pulled together a whole bunch from that trip. Some I really haven't even shown yet. So, yeah, and I just have continued to just find bits and pieces of them. And what am I up to now, guys? I counted 91 total in the Windham Hill catalog as far as just vinyl releases. And I think what did I say? 74. I've got 74 of 91 now. So that's got to be right around probably three quarters done, right? Yeah, that's them. That's them right there. And here's a little smidgen right here I'm going to talk about. These are just some of kind of the gems, kind of the highlights, like I said, of stuff I've found recently that are the ones I'm finding now are like, that's why I get so jazzed about this. Sorry about the bad pun. I get so jazzed about this because I've gotten to the point now where there's only like the rare as fuck ones and just kind of like the medium to uncommon, almost kind of rare ones that you just don't see. very much. So that's all that's left for me. And so when I do come across these ones, I get fucking jazzed. And like I said, finding this stuff in the wild is really fun for me. So I did find an Interior album that I needed. I love these guys. One of the few Japanese artists on Windham Hill, which I love because, you know, let's talk about 80s, you know, electronic Japanese, you know, minimalism is, you know, super fucking awesome. But these guys mix all kinds of interesting, like, kind of prog and rock and pop, like pop rock of the 80s, that kind of sound, all mixed in. So yeah, check out Interior. They're fucking dope. This is their self-titled release, and then they did another one a little bit further down the road, only like 1 year down the road. This was like 85, I think. But yeah, it's catalog number 47, 1047. So that's like kind of smack dab right in the middle of everything. This guy, gosh, I have really grown, because I never knew about him until I started doing this catalog collect. I had never seen his LPs, and I've never heard of him. And he's fucking one of my favorite new artists on this label, Wim Mertens. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, but I think that's probably it. Wim Mertens. More of kind of in, like, you know, kind of a darker electronic, ambient, you know, type of artist. And so, yeah, this has been a pleasure. I think I still have one more of his. He only released maybe 2 or 3, I think, on the Windham Hill label. He was one of the kind of the later discovered artists. All of his stuff is like quite a bit further down the road. This is number 56, so I think this was, again, like his first for the label. It's called Close Cover. Yeah, it's beautiful. Anyone that likes, what's his name? The German electronic kind of ambient composer, Hennig, Michael Hennig. Very similar to Michael Hennig, if anybody listens to that kind of stuff. This, oh my God, this I found at a record store. It was a little bit, I mean, it wasn't expensive, but, you know, I was hoping to find it like at a junk store for $3. But no, I had to pay, like, I think it was $11 or $12 for it, which I'm fine with, because this one is one of my very favorites. Not only one of my favorite pianists, but just kind of like one of my favorite creators. He's an overall artist. He was like kind of on board with that, like, really early 80s American, like, laid back hippie guy that just kind of like happened upon this new style of art and music and like was really young and just took with it. Very Brian Eno-esque, you know. And he's still playing, he's still making music. He's made tons of fucking albums and collaborated with tons of wonderful people. This is one of, I think, probably my favorite album by him, Glass Green by Tim Story. Of course, I have lots of Tim Story in my collection. I've talked about him a lot. I just love the, you know, the photography on this is gorgeous, and, you know, the glass green theme. They gave the, you know, the standard Windham Hill thing is like, you know, whitewash or like kind of like a gray hue. So it kind of just makes you focus on the photography as an art piece. And this one's just got like that real kind of subtle green hue. It's kind of a unique one amongst, you know, the whole bag of the Windham Hill releases. And these are a few more that have that kind of green, greenish and gray hue to the covers. There was just like, they did that like in 86 and 88, I think, where all the covers went a different, yeah, this was like 80, well, it says it was recorded and mixed in 87, released in 88, yeah. This one as well. Malcolm Daglish plays in this group, but they put out a few of them, a band called Metamora. Malcolm Daglish, he's a badass dulcimer player, so lots, again, like the Celtic flavors. You get a lot of that in this. I just, you know, particularly love this photograph. Very Ansel Adams, you know. It's kind of classic B&W. But yeah, these guys are a great trio. Lots of just relaxing, like I said, you know, kind of world sounds. Same with this gal. She's a harpist. Along the same lines of kind of new artists, like I talk about Mary Lattimore on my channel a lot. I like Mary Lattimore. And this gal is also a harpist. But yeah, her album called The Queen's Minstrel. This is more kind of like a rare one that you never, almost never see in the wild. I picked this up in like Corvallis, Oregon, I think, at a junk shop. Yeah, for $4. The Queen's Minstrel by Therese Schroeder Schecker. Her only release on Windham Hill. But yeah, beautiful photo. So there it is, guys. My climb. I feel like I'm like, you know, soon to summit. I'm gonna summit this bitch, whether or not. I don't know, man. Like I was saying, that George Winston album, the summer album, it's like there's only 3 copies of it that I found on the internet. They're in Japan, I think. Somewhere they're in China or Japan. And you know, so we're talking like whatever, 30,000 yen or whatever it is, you know, 90 or, you know, $80 or $90 plus, you know, $20 shipping. Fuck that. We'll see if I can find one around here somewhere. I'm in a perfect place in the world for it because the label was started just down in the Bay Area, or in mostly like kind of Northern California, really. I think is where the label was started, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they all met and started in like Southern California, in like San Diego or something. But yeah, I'm in, you know, hippie central West Coast, so these albums are generally pretty easy to find around here. Really hoping to run into that one. I'm really hoping to run into the Bobby Basho or Robbie Basho. The one he did 2 albums on Windham Hill, but his first was one of the very first releases in '78, I think. Oh shit, what's it called? Something, the country. Damn it, it's just got a beautiful black and white photograph of a mountainscape on the cover, and the music's magnificent, and it's pretty hard to find. It goes for about $100. So yeah, this is kind of a pretty serious quest. We'll see what happens if I can come out of this alive. I don't know. The darkness is taking me. I will persevere. So thanks for joining me tonight, guys, for this silly little talk about my epic climb up Windham Hill. So hopefully next time we talk, I might, you know, be within reach of the pinnacle. Yeah. So again, you know, be good to each other. Peace in the crease, and we'll see you in spring. Let's get these spring feels going on. Peace in the crease, guys. Love you.